Amnesty International, the Law Society of Kenya, and Vocal Africa have launched a global petition urging Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni to immediately and unconditionally release Kenyan human rights defenders Bob Njagi and Nick Oyoo. The two were abducted in Kampala 20 days ago, and their whereabouts remain unknown. As Mary Moki reports, the High Court in Uganda is set to revisit the Habeas Corpus application tomorrow, Wednesday, amid growing international pressure on both Uganda and Kenya to take action.
20 days and counting, yet no word from Ugandan authorities. Human rights groups are intensifying calls for the release of Kenyan activists Bob Njagi and Nick Oyoo, who were abducted in Kampala on October 1st by men in military uniform. A habeas corpus application filed in Uganda has since stalled, with the state now expected to explain on Wednesday why almost 3 weeks later the two have not been produced in court as ordered by Justice Simon Peter Kinobe.
Now we haven't gotten any positive response from Uganda. What we are hearing from them is that they are denying that they don't have them in Uganda, yet a high witness who was with them witnessed them being abducted by people who have military uniform.
The case had been postponed to tomorrow 8 a.m. and the government is supposed to present a written report on the whereabouts of these two. So we do not know what is it that they have not written in the last 7 days that they were given by the court. So we just call upon Kenyans and every other African, wherever they are, to speak on this, because we do not expect much from the courts.
Frustrated by silence from Kampala and what they term as Nairobi's abdication of duty, human rights activists have petitioned Kenya's Attorney General to intervene in the case. Amnesty International Kenya, the Law Society of Kenya, and Vocal Africa are now rallying global support through an online campaign, urging citizens worldwide to write to President Yoweri Museveni and demand the immediate disclosure of the activists' whereabouts.
We are petitioning just to seek legal advice on how to proceed with this case. It is now 20 days since they were abducted. Now we want Kenyans and every concerned citizen of Africa, concerned citizens of the region, to ensure that we work together towards the end of abduction.
We are calling for the Kenyan government to essentially extend its responsibility to Kenyan citizens to guarantee their right to legal representation and communication with their families. The fact that they have been incommunicado is essentially under international human rights law an enforced disappearance.
Amnesty further calls for an independent investigation and accountability for those behind the abductions.
So we are calling now for the intensification of a demand that the two men must be released and returned to their families. 20 days is much too long.
Despite growing diplomatic and public pressure, the Ugandan state claims its efforts to trace the duo have borne no fruit. But credible reports suggest the two are being held incommunicado at the Mbuya military facility in Kampala. Tomorrow's court session will determine whether Uganda faces contempt proceedings or if justice for Bob Njagi and Nick Oyoo will be further delayed. Mary Moki, Citizen